Hey there, so today I decided that I wanted to make a video. I know it's been a little while, there's probably nobody watching this anyways, so I hope that you're up to date. But today is, I think, July 21st, 2020. It's been a crazy year, pandemics and stuff going on. But I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about an idea that I find really fascinating about superheroes. So when we think of superheroes, so often we think of Superman, Batman, superpowers, being able to fly, super strength, things like that. But I want to talk about superheroes in a way that is a bit more close to home. So today I wanted to focus on the idea of superheroes that exist in real life. And that's kind of a crazy concept. I mean, when I was little, I obviously loved superheroes, probably like most of the rest of you, and maybe the people that weren't nerds will call me a nerd for this, but I think that everybody looks up to some kind of superhero. Maybe you don't call them a superhero, maybe you just call them dad, or maybe some baseball player or football player or something, but we all have these sorts of people in our lives that come to impact us in ways that are genuinely incredible. And I thought that it would be valuable to take a minute to talk about someone that I think of as a superhero. And I've had my own personal struggles in life and things, and everybody does, but one of the people that I have consistently looked to and found profound guidance from, someone that has genuinely spoken to me and helped me in my worst times, has been this guy named Jordan Peterson. So when I was about 17 years old, I was thinking about suicide, and I was thinking about the idea of possibly killing myself. I had some pretty bad family stuff going on, but genuinely I had a really good life. I was well provided for, I was privileged in a lot of ways, I went to a good school, but I felt a weird sort of lack of meaning in my life. And the one person that really stuck out to me as being able to show me some sort of path to find meaning in my life was Jordan Peterson. And I've been listening to his lectures, reading his books, all sorts of stuff, following him in as many ways as I have been able to ever since. And it's been off and on. But I wanted to take a minute and describe to you, whoever's out there, that I think that superheroes are real. And I think this guy Jordan Peterson is one of them. I think that if he had a superpower, it would be honesty and articulation. He seems to be one of the few people that I think is willing to call it like it is nowadays. And I'm not going to say that the world is perfect. I don't think he would even agree with that, but I think whether the world is perfect or not, something that I've learned from him, but also seen work in real life, has been this idea that if you want things to get better, you need to be honest. You need to be honest about the way that the real world is structured, the way that you really see things around you. And that can be a kind of crazy thing to say to people sometimes, because when I was in that deep, dark depression, so I'm 21 years old right now, and it's 2020, but 4 years ago when I was about 17, I was very seriously considering killing myself. And I felt like everyone around me told me things like, why would you kill yourself? Why would you throw away all these gifts? Life is a gift. All of these things are gifts. And I didn't see it that way. Even if maybe they are gifts, I felt like nobody was willing to recognize the pain that comes with life, the reality of the pain that comes with life. And I think that's something I found in Jordan Peterson. I found someone that was willing to say honestly, yeah, it kind of makes sense why you might want to kill yourself. And what was so incredible, the reason why I would call him a superhero, is not because of the fact that he was willing to sort of agree with me with the fact that life is hard and possibly even worth killing yourself over. but it was his bravery in the fact that he could say something like that, but also say, even though life is so difficult that you might want to kill yourself, and you would be rational for that, there's also a very rational path toward optimism. And I think that's something that he's found and he's started to sort of share with other people. This idea that you don't have to be an idiot to be optimistic. And I think, and I know that I'm definitely reaching here, but I think a lot of atheist people, and I think I consider myself atheist for a long time, believe that it's naive to have faith. And I've definitely been there. I've sort of had this idea that it was naive to believe that life could be this great thing even when it's in its worst moments. But what I loved about Jordan Peterson was that he was willing to take that argument as it stands, not strawman it, but genuinely to take the argument of nihilism as it stands, and then to piece by piece by piece by piece argue out of it. And although I don't think anyone is capable of making an argument that doesn't have any element of assumption or element of faith involved in it, I think in his style of argumentation, I was able to establish a sort of trust that I couldn't find in the rest of my life. So, yeah, I think Jordan Peterson is a superhero. I don't know where I'd be if I hadn't come across his lectures. I was a part of a generation that probably feels a bit confused as to whether or not they actually are valid, but I was a part of a generation of young people who decided to look on the internet for the answers. I was probably one of a small group of people who decided to Google over and over and over, what is the meaning of life? And oddly enough, if you Google that enough, you might find an answer. And one of the answers that I did find was in Jordan Peterson's lectures. And it's tough to condense such a vast volume of information into one very terse point. But I think that if I've gotten a meaning of life out of Jordan Peterson's lectures, what I would say it is don't make things worse and try to make things better. And it's incredibly simple to such a degree that anybody who tried to argue with it would feel kind of like a fool. But when you ask gigantic questions like what is the meaning of life, you get answers back that might take a long time to sort through. And that's one of the things I love about Jordan Peterson's work, is that he has been willing to put on the internet for free so many volumes of his own thought. And even though maybe I guarantee you he says things wrong. He says things that I don't agree with. But everything that he says, he seems to try to overturn. And he works on it. And even while you're listening to him, you can hear him saying, no, that's not right, no, that's not right. And a person who's willing to, on the fly, say, this is wrong and this is correct, that's a person that is going to transcend wrong. And I don't mean that wrong will never catch up with him. What I mean is that the software that Jordan Peterson is running, the thoughts that he has chosen to give power to in his life, I believe lead him in a direction that is better than the direction of people who are not aiming at something above themselves. He's aiming at truth, and he's willing to surrender himself to this idea. And I don't claim to be a perfect judge. I don't think that anyone is. But if I could recommend a person to look up to, if I could have any sort of sway over anybody's opinion, if I got to play God for 10 minutes, what I would tell you, and what I would tell your friends, and what I would tell anybody that I spoke to, is that listening to Jordan Peterson will not make you a worse person. Listening to Jordan Peterson and the things he has to say, even if you disagree with them, It will make you better at what you intend to do. If you think that some of the things that he's done are wrong or bad, racist, sexist, any of those things, I don't think that he would be unwilling to hear you out. I think that Jordan Peterson is the kind of person, at least as I've seen through his work, I don't know him personally, but from what I've seen through his work, I see someone that is striving to know more than they do each moment. And that sort of recursive intention of trying to be better and trying to be better and trying to be better is something that is so incredibly difficult. He's reaching peaks of intellect that I think we may not see summited for another 100 years. And that's special. That's genuinely special. And recently, I know that he's had some health problems. And oddly enough, that makes me feel like I'm losing a father. And I know that might seem strange, but when my worst moments hit, I didn't feel like my mom, my dad, my brothers, and really my friends, I didn't feel like anybody that I knew around me was there for me, was willing to tell me the truth, and was willing to sit and argue with me day after day about why I was wrong. Even if I believed that what was right was to kill myself. And so I think that Jordan Peterson is arguing 1,000 people a day out of the grave, just by being honest. And I think that he's argued me out of the grave. So I think that Jordan Peterson is a superhero.